Kaizer Chiefs 1, Sekhukhune United 1. And we're going to look at the good, the bad, and the Hello and welcome to Kosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pilo, I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Amakosi Football Club, starting with the good. Being one goal down, conceding a goal is always not a good thing. However, the ability of the team to then come back and fight and end up getting the goal to to equalize the game, that's always a good thing, because we've seen a lot of times where the team has gone behind and they did not do anything about it. They did not react. And speaking of the goal, we should also be very, 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 very aware who scored the goal. It was obviously Uranga Chivaviro. And I've been saying this to you guys. Uranga is a finisher. He knows how to finish. He knows how to score. So this thing is good not just for him because he scored a goal, but it's also just good for him because of his confidence. Because now going forward, he's going to know that, yay, I still have it in me. And we're going to talk about the bad related with Ranga later on in the video. The other good thing is obviously the fact that the man of the match today, Upule Modi, seems to be gaining his confidence, because I saw him today because he started wide. He got the ball, and for a lot of times he was trying to take on people, and then even in the second half they moved him to a number 10 role when Potsane came in, and he still did relatively well compared to how he was doing when he lost his confidence, like mid-half season. So I would say that it's really good to see that he's kind of rediscovering himself, rediscovering his form. That's good. The other good thing is obviously the fact that Usbong Senimtetwa, that guy, he's going to try and give you his all. First half, that man is playing as an anchor. For some reason, he did seem like he was playing as an 8 and a 10 at some point, because he collects the ball and then he moves forward, passes the ball, makes himself available, makes the further run beyond the strikers even, which is really good, because you can see that he's trying by all means to make more options available further up the field, but also is available in our build-up. So that can only be a good thing. The other good thing obviously is the fact that Uprosip Voma, as much as he considered a goal today, which he could have done better in, but that's a story for another time later on in the video. But what is good about the fact that in the first half, he still saved us. There was a double save that he made, and it's clear that he really tries to do his best. He just got caught off guard with that goal. The other good thing is the fact that Kevin Johnson, when he saw that the Jason Gonzalez experiment wasn't working, he then took him off. Not necessarily taking him off, but noticing that he must do something, take him off or do something. That is good, but I will also talk about why that is also bad at the same time. And I will say that one last good thing I would say is the fact that as much as Chiefs has not been playing, prolific kind of football, or football that I would say that I prefer, they did show playing with purpose much earlier in the second half, because they didn't wait until we had 10 minutes to go in the game, but they actually started from the get-go. And obviously there were a lot of things that we did poorly, very poorly, but what I will take is the fact that we played with purpose from the second half after we conceded a goal. Now, let's move on to the bad. But before we do that, do make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, the bad things, starting with the coach himself. I did not hear anyone say Castillo is injured. This is a person who's reliable when it comes to scoring goals. He didn't even make the matchday squad. That's just utter disgrace. It's disgraceful and it's just nonsensical. I do not know why a player because our top goal scorer is Pule Modi, but right after him, who's next? Guess what? It would be him. Castillo is there. I think not to pre around there. But he's a midfielder, Castillo, and he's giving us goals. And yet now you are dropping him even from the matchday squad. If I'm wrong, I hope I am wrong. I hope, God forbid, I hope he was injured. Because if it's not an injury, if it's not sickness, if those are not the two reasons why he was dropped, then I do not know. The second thing is the fact that the coach at halftime, I said it was good that he made a decision to take out Gonzalez. My problem is, you take out Gonzalez, who do you bring on? You bring on Sahil. And what do? You have Sile play as a right winger. And what do? You have Ashley Dupree play as a number 9. And what did I say to you? I said to you guys, it's not a good idea to play Dupree as a number 9, because what we tend to do when Dupree is playing as our number 9 is we try to kick the ball behind the defenses of the teams that we're playing against. And that only works against Pirates and who? And Sundowns. Why does it work against those two teams? Because they play a high line. But if you're going to do that against Sekhukhune, people who are staying very compact and going as further back as they possibly can, Dupree is not going to find any spaces. So playing him as a number 9 is a setup when you're playing against a team at low block. And lo and behold, that's the very same thing that happened. There was no space for Dupree to run into, and then they ended up taking him out. If he wasn't convinced about Gonzalez, then bring on someone like the one who ended up scoring a goal for us, Rangachiva Viro. No, he didn't do that. He took him out earlier. Another thing that he could have done is change the setup of the team without having to take out the player, because we are talking about a player who's already low on confidence. If you know that he's low on confidence, might as well not start him and start Uranga instead, because you know that Uranga at least has some confidence, has scored a goal, and bring on Gonzalez to change the game in the second half. No, when you try to change your approach to the game completely, but pace was never going to work in this game. And did it work? No, it didn't. It might work wide, but it will not work centrally. So that was a very, very, very horrible idea. Now, the other bad thing is obviously the fact that the way we considered a goal, it was an offside. So I'll forgive the defensive because it was a free header, but it was an offside. So we're not going to talk about that. I think I should have left that for the Anyways, now let's talk about the other bad thing. The other bad thing is obviously the fact that Castillo is dropped, and then Umart is going to be played the entire game. Did you see him towards the last minutes of the game? By the way, I have to add a disclaimer when I talk about Mart, because I'm not part of that movement that says Mart sucks, he should never play. But I am saying Mart is a player like everyone else. And if he's not contributing going forward, if he's tired, take him out. That's what I'm saying. And Umar, you saw him with water in his ankle, not ankles, in his calf, because he was tired and he was cramping up. Yet he's always kept. And yet we still had a sub, Umtutuzi Shabalala, who could have come in and helped us with carrying the ball, because no one was carrying the ball in midfield. To a point that we were doing this, we were playing Omodi as a 10, because we took out all our number 10s. Well, we took out the number 10 that we had. And Umtusha Balalu can actually play as a number 10. We also set him on the bench the entire game instead of bringing him on for Matt, because what would have had is Samgelo Zwane sitting deep as a 6, and you don't need to have more defensive players in the game, because the score is 1-1 and you are trying to score a goal. For crying out loud, Pirates, they dropped the ball. SuperSport dropped the ball. We're supposed to close the gap on those two other guys and get closer to them. But what do? No, Tina. We go out there, we play a draw, and the coach comes out, which is another bad thing. He says, you go to Polokwane and you take a point away from them. A point away from them. Listen, mate, Kaizer Chiefs has fans everywhere. Kaizer Chiefs has home advantage wherever they play. So going to Polokwane, the stadium, by the way, that we also use as a home stadium in some games, you can never say we went to Polokwane and we got a point. That's a good thing. It's not a good thing. You go to Polokwane, you go wherever in South Africa, you are Kaizer Chiefs, you get the 3 points. There is not a point in time where you gain a point as Kaizer Chiefs. You are always, if you draw a game, that means you dropped 2 points. We must fix that, because I saw Kevin Johnson after the game. He doesn't look distraught to go to, damn it, I lost a point. Earlier on in the day, Urulani Mkwena, Sundowns drew the game 0-0. They have 2 games in hand on the team behind them, and yet he's still getting distraught or angry because the team did not win a game. Yet he's ahead, far ahead than anyone else. Tina, we're playing catch up, and yet we're still celebrating drawing a game with Sekhukhune. We're still saying we took a point away from Sekhukhune. We did not take nothing away from them. We gave them 2 points. We dropped a point, I mean. So I don't understand how you're expecting players to have a good mentality if the coach does not have a good mentality. And that's exactly why people like me will keep on saying, bring a coach who has won something, because a coach who has won things, they will want to win every time. and not be satisfied by drawing against Sekhukhune. And I know people will say, Banpilo Chiefs played good. We cannot say nonsense like that anymore. We cannot say, oh, but Chiefs tried. They played 3 passes, 4 passes. That's nonsensical. You know why it's nonsensical? Because we are Kaizer Chiefs. We're the biggest team in Southern Africa. We cannot be drawing games against Abo Sekhukhune. We are huge. The club is huge. So we cannot be celebrating a draw namateam amancane. We cannot be like waiting until the end of the season. Good, oh, Nkosi yami, hey, we need 1 more point. No. Stellenbosch, Cape Town City, sitting comfortably above us. And we're celebrating a point. Come on, guys. Now, the other bad thing is obviously the fact that, on top of the fact that coach has Solomons in the bench. Once again, Frosla, hey, foot all of them. Wait, I almost jumped. I also want to say this about Johnson. In his post-match interview, he singled out 2 players, which is horrible. You don't do that as a coach. You say, we got chances, we should have scored them. You don't say, Sahile should have scored 2 goals. You don't say that. You can call him aside and say that to him. But saying that in an interview, what do you think that's going to do to a player? Because ama phephandaba, ama online channels, they're going to be tweeting that on today. Ukuthi the coach is blaming Chivaviro for not scoring that free kick. Because it's going to say Chivaviro should have taken the free kick better. How about all those corners that Dupree took bad? How about all those corners that even Umodi himself didn't take well? All the time the ball does not even go to the 6-yard box. It only lands in the first man who's closing the first post. He did not single out those players who were playing horrible corners, but he's singling out Uranga, he's singling out Usail. Yes, Usail should have scored, but there was also a time where it wasn't Usail who was supposed to pass the ball to who's this? Ufrosla was running out wide. There were times where other players did things that they shouldn't have done, where Matt took a shot instead of passing. They were not singled out. Yet these other 2 players are singled out. How are they going to feel? Which means phela abadlala abafani ku-coach. Khona abanye who can be singled out in the media, some of them will not be singled out in the media. Just like some players can be substituted and some will never be substituted. Treat players fairly and equally, or else you're going to lose the dressing room. Now the stuff. The things that might not be a big deal, but we should look at them, is the fact that Sam Gelozwan almost gave a goal away, and people did talk about him needing or having to take his football seriously, because you can't be just casual like that. Like you are pressed by 2 people, just do the simple thing. Play the ball back to your goalkeeper, let him clear the ball. That's one. Number 2 is, yes, coach did take out Gonzalez, and I still think the setup might have to do something with it. But there are other simpler things that Gonzalez could do that he hasn't done yet. So Guayana, he must watch himself, because the players and the fans are actually growing very impatient with him. They are done with him, actually. That's another thing. And then the other thing is the fact that if you look at Bruce, there was a time when Samgelo lost the ball and Bruce was coming out to shout at him. And I do think that that should be done. But Udove even had to calm him down. So that might not be a big deal. But if maybe you are too much and shouting at your other teammates too much, that might become problematic. But as I said, it's a thing. It's not bad. But it's that thing that we must always just watch out that it doesn't get out of hand. The other thing that I want us to also just revisit, that I don't think is a big deal, is obviously the fact that right now at Kaizer Chiefs, the mentality of the players, not the mentality necessarily, but the morale of players like Abumtu Shabalal, I think this actually falls under the bed, is growing very low. People who can be brought on to change the game are sitting on the bench the whole time, and they don't come on. And that eventually might end up having players who don't even care, because when they come into play, eventually they've been on the bench for like 10 games in a row and they were not played, and that's gonna mess up with their heads. But again, guys, what did you think of the game? Do let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals Alpelu Moy.